Welcome to another behind the scenes breakdown video. My name is Mike York. I am an animator in video games. I've been working in the industry for a long time now. I recently worked on God of War Ragnarok and GTA 5 and all kinds of stuff in the past. So hopefully I can give a kind of unique breakdown on what this is and behind the scenes and some of the motion capture, because I've actually done animation for Uncharted 2 a long time ago. Fun fact in a sense, right? So I worked at a company called House of Moves, and I did motion capture cleanup for them. And what we did is we cleaned up the motion capture for Chloe and a bunch of the characters for Uncharted 2, and then we would ship it off to, Naughty Dog so they could do the little final polishes before implementing it in game. So I'm really excited to see the behind the scenes stuff on this, and hopefully take you on a deep dive tour with this. This is a long video, so get your, popcorn ready, your whiskey, your juice, whatever you're going to use, and to sit back and relax. And I hope you guys enjoy this. So let's dive in and take a look. All right, here we go. Hell yeah. Show us the goods.
Oh, this is about an hour and a half to 2 hours. So hopefully you got your pee break. Okay. So we open on 15-year-old Ellie. This is a few weeks after the events of the first game.
Yeah, spoiler. If you haven't played the game yet, I would probably pause this video.
There's a doorway leading down to this basement, and Ellie sees Tommy, and he's just finished climbing out of this basement, and he's hurt bad, and he's rambling about something, needing to go after these people. Ellie's trying to ask him what happened, where's Joel, and he doesn't make any sense to her, and she starts to go downstairs. Tommy grabs her hand and tries to stop her, but he's too weak. She rips her arm away, and she heads down.
They're just
and
showing
with each
all
step,
this.
her heart races faster and faster as she sees this trail of blood. She opens the door, revealing Joel's mutilated body. And then shock just sets in, and she screams and tries to grab his body, and Dina comes and rips her away, and on that cacophony of sounds, silence.
You can even see the developers are kind of like...
Oh, we're just getting started.
Yeah, they're just getting started. They wanted shock and awe, they got it. They wanted to ruffle some feathers, they got it. Right? It was a really polarizing decision, the direction of the story that they took, so I'm interested to see how this all plays out in this behind the scenes timeline of how all this went down at the studio and how the decisions were
I've been
made.
working on this game since we finished, well, really been thinking about it since we finished The Last of Us.
So many people were like,
Of course.
Last of Us 1 is so perfect. It
is.
should never have a sequel. They shouldn't make a sequel.
Well, here's the thing, okay? It's not that they shouldn't make a sequel. You can see he's mad about this, the way these people feel. But here's the thing: some people do feel that way, right? That they shouldn't have made it. Not that I do. I wanted to see a sequel, and when you see the ending, when you see the ending of the game and you see Ellie the way she is and the way she responds, you almost know that there should be a sequel.
On this game since we finished, well, really been thinking about it since we finished The Last of Us.
So many people were like, Last of Us 1 is so perfect. It should never have a sequel. They shouldn't make a sequel.
They're like, oh, it wrapped up super great. But I think actually, if you look at the ending...
Swear to me that
Yeah, see?
everything that you said about the Fireflies is true.
Ellie is accepting a lie.
Yep.
I swear.
And look, she just takes it.
Okay. She has a
Okay.
very good bullshit detector. She
And you know what? In that part of the video, when the game ends, you know as a player that she's accepting that lie, and it makes you like, what? It makes you kind of angry, and the game just ends, and you're like, oh, I can't believe the game just ends like that. And so you know that there's something coming, or that they're going to tell you more, or that there's going to be more to it, which I really loved. It felt like you're ending on a cliffhanger, sort of.
knows something doesn't feel right, but I think is too scared at that point to ask.
How long can you really live with accepting a lie like that?
The Last of Us feels like an origin story for this survivor in this post-apocalyptic world.
Good. Ooh.
Seeing like how Ellie has become such a strong, unique character.
Yeah.
It really felt like, you know, if we were to do a sequel, it'd be a
Has to be with
shame
her.
for it not to focus on her.
Yep.
Move the fuck out of the way.
And I was hoping on that too. Like when I was, you know, The Last of Us Part 2, I was hoping that I was going to be able to play a whole bunch of Ellie and that she was going to be more grown up. And
Yeah, once we're done with this whole thing, I'm gonna teach you how to play guitar. Yeah, I reckon you'd really like that.
or this stuff.
What do you say, huh?
Joel, he's gonna teach Ellie to play guitar. That always felt like that's just this like unanswered promise that like
Yeah.
was kind of lingering at the end of the first game. We did this thing called One Night Live, where
That's
we
cool.
had the actors come on stage and reenact certain scenes.
Wow.
So you say we get you to the Fireflies. What happens next?
Marlene, she said that they have their own little quarantine zone, and that
Voice
doctors
is so
are
good.
still trying to find a cure.
I wrote this new scene that takes place after the ending of The Last of Us, but it was only shown to people in the audience. Like
Oh,
we cut
wow.
off the stream right before we showed them the scene.
Cool. Wish I was there for that.
If I ever were to lose you,
Wow,
I'd
he's got such a good voice,
surely
dude.
lose myself.
Listen to that, dude.
Try and sometimes you'll succeed to make this man of me. Our future days of you and me.
You can feel the emotion for sure. That's what's great about Joel's performances.
She's yours.
Like Troy really did
no,
such
I
a
don't know
good
the
job
first
at.
thing about this.
Hey, I promised you I'd teach you how to play.
See,
That
he gets
scene
into
ends with
character
Ellie
more.
holding the guitar and playing one note. And that image was so strong in my mind that I'm sure that kind of trickled into this idea of this trailer.
Love
Started
this
working
trailer,
on some concept art.
by the way.
Kept fleshing out the story. And as it felt like it was kind of gaining momentum, Uncharted 4 needed
Oh,
all
shit.
hands on deck.
Yep, I remember this. Yeah. Well, you're doing two things at once. It's hard
Naughty
to
Dog
do
had
that.
always made one game, and as soon as it finishes one game, it works on another. When I started on Uncharted 3, we were starting to experiment then with trying to do two teams. After we finished Uncharted 3, I jumped onto Uncharted 4. At some point in time, Uncharted 4 was coming down to the wire, and
at the
it's just
studio.
we had to shift resources, and pretty much everyone just ended
Act.
up on Uncharted, trying to finish it up.
That's what happens in video game development. You know, you become all hands on deck. A lot of studios I've worked at, you know, including Rockstar Games, you know, it's one of those things. Well, they'll be working on multiple projects at once. Normally, a lot of companies do, and then once one of the games is getting close to the finals push or the end or a trailer or anything like that, there's a huge push and everybody like gets off all these projects and everybody gets on the same project and on the same page and everybody grinds until they kind of finish it out. And it's kind of like a really cool thing to see in development, the team effort.
So
that
I said,
happens.
okay, before I come on like in full force on Uncharted 4, I just want to capture this trailer.
I'll walk through the valley of the shadow of death,
Wow, this is great.
and I fear
Now I want to
no
touch on something right now. If you look at the top right screen, they actually filmed a person who is playing the guitar legitimately. And this is so the animator can animate this reference and animate the fingers perfectly, you know, on here. Because she doesn't know how to play the guitar like this apparently right now, right? So that's what they're doing here to capture it. And then they're capturing her face and capturing her motion capture performance separately. So all this has to be animated by like, you know, most likely 3 different people or 2 different people. There's going to be a guy who animates like Ellie's performance, and there's going to be another person probably that animates her face. And the person that animates her performance is going to clean up all this mocap and do all this prop work with the guitar. And then they're going to do all this. They're going to watch this animation here on the top right, this video footage, to make it look perfect.
'cause I'm blind to it all. Said I walk beside the still waters and they restore my soul, but I can't walk on the path of the right, 'cause I'm
during the entire production of
Great
Uncharted 4,
performance.
that's all I could think about. I had a lot of investment
bet.
in Uncharted 4, but the day we were done with Uncharted 4, I went right back to that trailer to wrap it up. Anything for this shot that's still happening?
Not in animation.
Yeah, not in animation. That looks great.
Of the shadow of death.
See, look now. Look at the hands are all animated.
This one feels kind of strong to me. Drawing a lot of attention. Can we tone that down?
Yep.
Actually, my biggest fear with this announcement is that it leaks early. More than anything, I have nightmares about this trailer leaking early before we get to PSX.
Yeah, I can see his fear for that because, you know, like a lot of times we work so hard as developers to keep things a secret. So, like, it's such a bummer when things get leaked. You're just not ready to show it yet. And it's just, and it happens too much in our industry nowadays. With GTA 6 and all this stuff recently, it's terrible.
If we're going to surprise people, PSX, the PlayStation Experience, hasn't set itself up yet as a place where big titles get revealed. That's E3.
E3, yeah. I haven't been to E3 in a while since I was like a young gun in the industry. E3 is really fun. If you guys have never been, it's really awesome. If you're into gaming, it's so fun.
We're revealing the Uncharted single-player content at the opening of the show.
You're late. I thought you were professional. Oh, you should relax. You'll live longer.
Love this game. Great game.
No one's going to expect a second Naughty Dog title to be revealed in the same press conference.
Please welcome to the stage, Sean Layden.
There's one more special unveil we have for you tonight. Please enjoy.
One more special.
When we first revealed The Last of Us, the Naughty Dog logo came up and the crowd erupted, and it was such a high that that's almost been like chasing the dragon, like wanting to recapture that feeling.
Oh my God. Why does this look like The Last of Us, dude?
Look at everyone. Yeah. That's how I felt too, man.
Playing it
I was sitting at home,
this
but
surprising moment. I'm hopeful it will have a similar feel.
to me, it doesn't matter almost what they show. I'm really hyped at what they create over there at Naughty Dog. So yeah, logo shows up, I'm like going crazy. And look at that. Wow.
What are you doing, kiddo?
People
Look at
outside the
that.
studio have such an attachment to the first game, and
That's me.
I've definitely seen fears about not wanting to make a sequel because somehow if it's bad, it will tarnish your feeling about the first game.
See, I don't feel that way.
Find
I don't feel like making a second one will tarnish my feel. You know, it didn't tarnish
and I'm
it.
gonna kill every last one of them.
Wow, that was powerful. I remember that.
We're doubling down on those fears and not calling it The Last of Us some subtitle. It's The Last of Us Part 2 to say it's all one story.
Look, they just relish in it, dude. They love it. Look at these guys. It's funny. They should be excited. They should be celebrating. You know, this is a lot of hard work goes into this stuff, you guys. So I'm excited for this team. You know, it's cool to see their excitement. Because I know how that feels. You know, you're in the dark creating this video game
The
for so long.
concept for the sequel had to feel compelling enough, have enough weight that felt like, okay, this is an experience worth creating, worth spending the next 3 years on. I became really intrigued with the idea of the cycle of violence and how, like, certain events would trigger acts of violence that then would beget more acts of violence.
It's almost never satisfying.
Yep, you spiral out of control as a person when you go through revenge, and you know, it's not good.
Never brings the person you love back. And despite you thinking it's going to bring some closure, it doesn't.
Never does.
We just need more empathy. Wouldn't it be awesome if we could create an experience that lets you safely explore those feelings?
And that's what they did very well, okay? I want to give a shout out to Neil if you're watching this and any of the team over there, is that you did a really good job at portraying that. Because I remember when I played the game for the first time, part 2, I was really frustrated that I was playing as Abby, and I was mad that she had just killed Joel. All these things were going through my head. I was frustrated as a player. But as I played, and I played, and I played, and I played, I realized that, like, oh, what they're doing right now is they're making me feel this character's emotions, what it feels like to be this other person. It's not always about Joel. It's not about Ellie. All these other people have their feelings too. They have their own lives too. They're fighting for their struggles, and you get to share that and see her revenge story, and you get to play as her and feel her emotions. And so it was a way of forcing you as a player to do that. And I really applaud them for trying something unique like that in a video game, because it was really cool and impactful as a player, for sure.
That theme, all of a sudden everything fell into place and this outline emerged. The whole catalyst for what starts the second game is Joel killing the doctor.
Okay. No! Choices have
That
consequences.
feeds right back in that idea of that cycle of violence. Now it sets up this whole kind of sequence of events.
Yeah.
We're going to start the game where you're playing a new character. That sequence ends with this character killing Joel.
Wow.
And we really have to paint her as this monster.
You don't have to paint her as one.
Then when you play the next chunk of the game and you're Ellie and you're going to pursue
Wow.
justice, quote unquote, and you're going to go kill this entire crew.
Actually, you do need to paint her as a monster.
We're going
because,
to
yeah,
go back
for
in
the
time
revenge.
and show you that same sequence of events. This character that you saw as a monster, to now get you to see
Yeah.
things from her perspective.
See.
And how this crew is a bunch of people trying to survive in this world. And they have their reasons for pursuing and finding Joel and killing him.
Exactly. Like I was just saying, you see, you're forced to see it through her perspective.
And the story was becoming very epic and ambitious, and I had a few parts that I was kind of stuck on, and I felt like to kind of shake things up, I wanted to bring in another writer.
I'm not sure you should have shook things up.
I thought it was a very thoughtful story about violence and obsession. He had Abby, sort of like this girl who was the daughter of the doctor.
No, it's interesting that he brought in another writer. I'm not sure if he doesn't trust his own judgment or whatnot for the writing, because he's been doing a great job in the writing, Neil, and whoever else he's been working with. But he brought this writer in to shake things up, and I think that like he's already shaking this game up a lot, so it makes sense in a way. He's trying something new.
And that Ellie would go on this vengeance quest.
Exploring creatively. That's what
And when
art
he's like,
is all
and then
about.
Ellie actually kills Abby, I was like, what? You're gonna... Yeah, let's fucking do it.
Not only is she contributing in a lot of ways, I feel like she's challenging what this story can be.
Exactly. See, like he can go his own way, but you need someone to challenge a story sometimes. You can't be in your own path and your own mind all the time. You need someone from the outside to come in.
She's wanted to add more romantic intimacy between the characters.
See, that's good.
Those are areas that I've been, I don't know, more uncomfortable writing that stuff.
Yeah, as men, we don't write that stuff as much
After
in
the
games.
first day, she was telling me that she went home and told her husband that I think I just got Ellie's girlfriend pregnant, because that was her big idea the first day, and that had this trickle-on effect and actually added a lot to the story.
Ellie is this very relatable character. I thought she was a perfect vehicle to challenge this notion that violence doesn't have a cost, because it does have a cost in reality. It's going to ruin this girl.
Yeah, and dude, what she just said was so powerful. It's gonna ruin this girl. And if you guys have played this game before, like, that's exactly what happens. Like, you trying to pursue revenge ruins you. And it will ruin you. If you're watching this video and you want to have revenge on someone, just stop. Don't. Just leave it alone. It's gonna tear your life apart.
you know, people love Joel and Ellie, and we are about to kill one and make the other one a villain.
I was very nervous telling Troy we're gonna kill off Joel. In the first game, he was advocating that Joel should die.
When I read the ending to part 1, I was like, you're gonna piss a lot of people off.
Why? Oh.
Let me go.
Marlene is the closest thing to a parent that Ellie has had outside of Joel.
You just come after her.
Oh, I remember that
A lot of
moment.
people got hurt, and Marlene would be one of those people.
Joel has crossed these moral lines, and therefore he deserves to die, and he thought it might be a more dramatic ending. And I was like, no, you're crazy. Like, but then in the second game, that's why I was like, thought like, oh, he would take it pretty easily.
He goes, so
Joel's
Joel
gonna
dies. And he's like, so this happens, and then and I literally had to stop. I was like, can you give me just a second? Because it literally was as if someone was telling me about how my friend had just died.
Well, you know,
I think
you're
he kinda-
attached to these. Hold on, you're attached to these characters because you play them, right? Like Troy Baker, he's playing that character. He is very attached to him as an actor and a performer, right? So I could understand that. It is like losing someone.
Took it
sorta.
hard. It was like the character meant so much to him.
Yeah. He wants to see the character
We're gonna
live
kill off
on.
this character. His role is gonna be much smaller on this
Mm-hmm.
one.
All of a sudden, it was, please don't take this from me yet.
Yeah. See.
Ellie is scared to be alone. Everybody that she's
we all
loved
are.
up until that point, she's lost them.
It's hard to imagine the story without Joel dying. Like, you feel that hate, Ellie feels that hate. You're one-to-one.
It's weird that he says it's hard to envision that story without Joel dying. I don't think he has to die.
One second.
They could have done the story with him getting severely injured and almost dying, or something crazy like that, or a different character dying.
That informs the rest of the story.
This way, come on!
But it leads to all of this. It you know, so that part makes sense. But
You okay?
Yeah.
We get you through interactivity to really connect and empathize with this character.
this moment right here is
Like you heard of us or something.
And
the
then make you feel
betrayal
like,
and
I've
oh
led
my
Joel to a
God,
trap.
dude. Yeah, you led Joel to a trap. Oh my God. This was a hard thing to take in gaming, like seeing Joel die.
When we started out making Last of Us Part 2, Neil actually wanted to be very ambitious about changing the game almost entirely.
Wow.
In the first like 4 or 5 months, the game was actually kind of an open world.
Really?
Inspired by Bloodborne.
Really? They weren't. Oh. I think they're just inspired by certain elements of this
And like
game.
it was purely melee focused, like it was
Yeah.
all hand-to-hand combat.
Well, melee is one of the best things Naughty Dog does. Ooh, oh.
It wasn't
Oh.
just the melee combat, we were also looking at sort of layout structure. Bloodborne had a very sort of an open space that sort of kept getting bigger and bigger as you explored.
Okay.
I really like that feeling that you get of mastery over the world.
That's true. Once you like move through an area a lot, you do feel like you have mastery over the world.
It starts to become kind of almost a character in the game itself.
Yeah.
And so that was also something we were looking at.
We started out making it as different as humanly possible from the first game as we could.
Wow.
And then kind of dialing it back. The open world thing didn't work with the story that we were trying to tell and stuff.
They're
So in
constantly
pre-production,
trying.
we spent
They're constantly trying to do something completely different. You don't always have to do that, but I've noticed that's like a recurring theme at this studio, is that they're trying every time they go to do something, they're trying to do something completely different, completely new than they've ever done before.
spent a lot of time.
You don't
just
always have to do that,
doing
though.
setups,
You can iterate on and whatnot.
self-contained sort of units that tried to expound on a single sort of idea.
But this is good. This is a good way to grow as developers right here. It pushes you
trying
creatively.
to start out with sort of simple shapes and building up to more complex shapes. And starting out with one or two mechanics and building up to those mechanics.
Hey!
Even our experiments, we try to add like as much context as we can. Like we establish a goal that you're going to be going for. We establish beats so that there's like an emotional journey. The stakes are raised.
It's interesting how early
Figuring out
conceptualizing
some
they're doing
traversal
some of
stuff.
this.
A lot of climbing and balance beams and
Yeah.
seeing how far we can sort of push in that direction without it getting over the top like Uncharted.
More sort of verticality. More use of grass and stealth.
Wow.
My name is Arnaldo Licea.
And what do you do here?
I do design.
And how long have you been doing that?
A day.
A day.
I got an opportunity to work in QA, and that was a great learning experience. I shipped The Last of Us and Uncharted 4.
The thing I'm proudest of is the people who came in to a quality assurance job as a contractor, which is entry-level work, and used that job to get to where they ultimately wanted to be.
And that's a good point what he just made. If you're watching this right now and you want to be a game developer, I highly suggest that you go to a company and work as a QA department first, because that's a great way to get in the door. I'm telling you, I could go on and I'll have a whole separate video about this, because it's really a powerful way to get a job in the industry. So check out some of the video. I'll put a little link at the top of this, but I have a video about that, how to get a job in the industry doing QA and different stuff like that, because this is how I got a job at Activision. This is how a buddy of mine got a job at Infinity Ward. And so you just never know. It can lead to some amazing things.
When I interviewed for the QA position, I specifically said that my goal was to be a designer.
And that's what you should do.
He had formed this relationship with design where they knew they could rely on him. Spending.
So like if you are wanting to be an animator or whatever, you apply as QA, but let them know, hey, I want to be an animator here. By the way, I'm doing QA as the job right now, but I eventually would love to do that.
His free time, designing a demo, and at the same time, him going to them and not being like, here's 50 bugs you need to fix. He went to them and was like, what do you need? How do I help you? What kind of bugs do you need? And for their part, they embraced him and were like, why don't we show you how to lay out nav mesh?
Awesome.
I am anxious to prove myself. There is no babying when you start. It just hits the ground running. If I don't cut it, I go back to QA or find something else. We're trying to figure out at the moment how we handle big spaces, bigger than the first game.
Wow.
The enemies are so like too spread out to be really considered like one single small encounter. And seeing what behaviors we need to start developing for them to make it look good.
It's interesting all the iterative processes that go on in game development.
The opening of Seattle, that whole section was pretty slow and quite linear in the level design.
Let's assume that there's guys in this building, someone's starting to shoot at me from the second floor. So, okay, if I'm on the horse and I'm getting shot at, I can't take cover with the horse, so probably first thing I'm going to do is jump off. And that's slow and clumsy, and maybe we can make that faster. It's like, but once I jump off, I'm going to want to take cover behind something. It's like, okay, I'm taking cover. Now what the fuck do I do with this horse? I assume the enemies are going to shoot at it. If they don't, that's kind of weird. Does Dina ride off with the horse to help it stay safe? Well, that sucks, because I'm trying to build a relationship with Dina, and if my partner leaves me, that makes me like her less.
And now what he's doing right now is he's going through all these different ideas of what a player might think and might do. And this is very, very important when you're developing a game, because a lot of people don't think about that as they're developing the game. You have to take a moment to say, okay, what's the player going to do right now? They're going to think about this. Are they going to try that? And you got to go over that with your head and try all these different options. And it's really great to see Neil going through some of this, man. He is the legend out of the whole, it's great to see him as creative director, because he's in the perfect spot for that, I feel.
Like, okay, so Dina has to get off the horse and take cover with me and help me engage with the enemies. Okay, but the horse is still there, so what happens with this horse? Does it ride off on its own in order to like protect itself and then come back after? Oh, that feels too intelligent for a horse. That seems a little funny. As soon as there's range combat, the horse kind of makes it fall apart. What if we did this whole sequence on foot? How do I approach this building? Imagine this is more dense with cars and ferns and interesting ways for me to close this distance. Maybe when I get close enough, 2 militia guys come out. I have this little firefight with this front before I could rush forward and go into this building, climb up, and take out the sharpshooter that was harassing me. Really simple, small fight. Now there's tension. Guys can come from anywhere, like from this rooftop, from these windows.
And that really inspired us to take some pretty drastic changes as far as the flow, inserting more combat, opening up the layout to give the player more options as far as how they explore the city.
You can imagine this as being kind of the hub with it poking into streets, and I could go into the streets and explore and find those locations, what we're kind of calling dungeons. So that's the plan. Some of these changes are big, but it got us excited. This feels like a true evolution of T1 as far as going more systemic and giving you options.
If there's concern, it's about scale, it's about scope, it's about can we actually build this thing?
Yeah, because the game is so highly detailed. It's hard to. That's why they're struggling with making it bigger, because of the detail of it. Right? They can't have this detail and make a Grand Theft Auto game. It has to be smaller, more condensed, less people, all that stuff. You know, so it's a battle in a sense. To
Scope is always bigger than the last game. It always has been. It always will be, probably. But this scope on this game is something pretty extraordinary.
Everyone seems to agree that the thing we're building is going to be cool once it's done. It's just that it's such a big game.
Our games have become more and more ambitious, and the studio has gotten a lot bigger.
When I started here, we're...
Look at all those people, and I guarantee you all those people are not there anymore. There's probably a whole chunk of these dude. Like, I bet half of these people are gone. The reason why I say that is because this is a huge group, and a lot has changed recently, and now they're working on a different, project and game. And
now we're over 300. You can't handle that many people with a flat hierarchy. As we grew, we've had to introduce new titles just to control management, control communication, make sure things don't fall through the cracks.
We have no producers at Naughty Dog.
They have no producers at Naughty Dog. They say they don't have any producers, but I'm sure they have a lot of people that are just like producers who do producing type of tasks, even though they're not called producers. It's trying to sound like Valve. You know, Valve has like no hierarchy, and you have no boss, they said over at Valve. But I wonder how all that stuff works. You have to have some sort of, not hierarchy, but control of each person's thing. Hierarchy is the best way to say it, but each person has a role, and there's a reason for that. It's okay that if there's a producer there.
So many talented people here that you can rely on and lean on. It makes the game better, and that's really kind of the secret sauce of Naughty Dog, is how collaborative it is.
That's what I've heard. I've heard that the whole point of why people love working over there is that their voice is heard, and that you can kind of creatively throw out ideas, and they might go into the game, you know?
You find the right people who really want to do the best they can possibly do, and then you kind of give them the resources to try. You're getting what you asked for as a creative person, right? You're kind of getting the freedom to go as far as you can go, but sometimes I think we need to be saved from ourselves a little bit.
With the last
Exactly. Hold on. What he just said, sometimes we need to be saved from ourselves a little bit. And he's laughing because it's a good point. He's saying that like all of us are artists at this studio and we all have ideas and stuff, but at some point you need to rein it in, and you have to have producers. You have to have people that keep you on track, like Neil and all that stuff.
A real sense of opportunity. This is going to be a much cleaner production than we've done in the past. We're going to get it right this time.
This is the first project that has had the proper pre-production period, where we have locked down, for the most part, the story beginning, middle, and end before we started production. That hasn't happened. I don't know if that has ever happened, now that I think about it.
Yeah, I don't think that's ever happened at any video game company ever. Like, and I don't know if it's even stuck. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, to meaning what I'm saying is, you come up with a plan, but did you stick to that plan? Did you stick to that story that you came up with before you even did any production, and use that story all the way to the end? Probably not. Everything changes, everything flows and evolves.
Messy process, which is again why it's a lot of times really difficult to schedule. I think right now we are planning on springtime of 2018. So when springtime of 2018 comes around, The Last of Us 2 isn't in stores, you can look back at this and say, well, I guess their plan wasn't exactly set in stone.
See, plans change, things evolve. As you start developing the game, it's a lot different than just the story.
Historically, we've done very poorly at being efficient without the pressure of an external deadline.
Every time we have some showing of our games, if it's going to be seen publicly, it's got to be one of the best looking playing things in the industry. For example, the first trailer was coming online, and that forced us to define the look of our game, define the location of where the game takes place, define Ellie's look and her age and her hair and her outfit. We're forced to make those choices. We can't just keep iterating because there's a deadline.
We want to try and schedule the game using these milestones as soon as possible.
Which means we got to keep the marketing rolling, which means next E3, 6 months away, we need to look at a gameplay demo.
E3, it's always been the biggest and most extravagant showing of the game industry. There's something special about the energy of E3.
We need to figure out what the gameplay is, because right now it's just we've got a bunch of like cool prototypes and stuff like that, so it's scary, but we work well under pressure.
We were hoping to be really aggressive and show at E3 2017 just to really kick the project into gear as fast as humanly possible.
So this is January of 2017.
We want to break it up into a roughly 2-minute cinematic, a flashback sequence that will set kind of emotional context for what will then go into a 5-minute gameplay sequence. We want to do this festival within Jackson. Like there'll be like a live band, and we're just seeing people lively having fun.
Film so much of this
For the
stuff.
crowd, are you thinking 30 plus people?
Frank says we could do a 30 variation. I think we can make that work with 30.
Yeah.
Dina pulls Ellie onto the dance floor. Ellie's dancing with her, is making all these guys jealous, and then Dina says, "You want to make them really jealous?" And she leans over and kisses her. And on that, we do a hard cut to Ellie in the middle of the woods.
I love that.
So the idea is we shouldn't see any buildings, just woods, water, ankle-deep water rushing underneath her.
What about rain? Are we still doing rain?
What about rain? Visual effects guys are like,
the other guys, but
please
That
no
demo
rain.
that
They're
we
saying.
show externally for the very first time is setting the bar for the rest of development. But the problem is we're also working on Uncharted 4 Lost Legacy.
So E3 is June 13th, which means probably we want to be done, what, like 2 weeks before that?
Why don't you just take things one at a time, guys?
From now.
With Lost Legacy shipping at around the same time of E3, there are shared resources between the two projects.
Especially sound and particle effects, so they were all on Uncharted.
When it comes to the polish phase, both we're polishing this and that same and SPDLC at the same time. I don't think there's any specific item that needs to be worked on, but I think there's going to be programmer time doing both those things. And
There are going to be times when it's like this needs polishing in E3 and this needs polishing in SPDLC, and like we're going to have to compromise at times maybe.
We kind of just didn't have it at the forefront of our minds that, yeah, they're freaking shipping a video game. It's literally the hardest part of making the game is shipping it. And we were trying to ship a demo, the second hardest thing you can do, at the same time, and sharing a lot of their resources.
So one thing would be helpful is to find out what are the items that you feel like you're most worried about. Like, let's say rain. We could do this thing without rain. So if that helps you a ton, we can make the decision now to remove rain.
Would definitely help.
How about wet hair? Well, if she's going swimming, then you can't really get around that, right? How about no swimming?
Puts on a cap.
If her hair.
I got like a really clear energy of the meeting, which was how do we shrink it? It was such an impossible task. You can't help but start feeling some doubt, some anxiety about the leadership, not understanding the logic of it. You know, I think like anybody else here, I was definitely ready to roll up my sleeves and figure it out.
All right, guys, we're gonna try to keep this pretty short. I guess. So after yesterday's meeting, there were a lot of side conversations, and there was sort of a sentiment about how much work there was to get not only this demo done to ship Lost Legacy, and it matched up with feelings that we were having. So we started discussing the responsibility of actually attempting this, and started to feel that it was a little bit irresponsible. That if we were to try to meet both these deadlines, we could probably do it, but
you're gonna break everybody in the process.
We would end up doing a lesser job on both projects, both deadlines, than we would if we were doing them individually. And feels like they're both important enough to give them the due attention.
Good. I'm glad that they came to that decision. It shows that they're professional about it and they're trying not to burn out their employees.
So the conclusion that definitely is there is that the demo that was discussed yesterday will not be presented at E3. Yeah.
Well, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Does
It is
mean
what
that
it
our
is,
main
as
point
they
should
say.
be just focusing on more shipping Q4?
Lost Legacy?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, we should still try to. We don't, like I said, just want to just completely halt work on this, and all hands on deck on Lost Legacy.
The idea is still to finish the demo, just to give us a buffer, so that these two deadlines aren't overlapping.
We're still doing both, but we're only doing one. and everyone in the room's like, okay, I think I know what you mean.
It's just
Look
now
at
we have
everyone.
more time to work on this demo properly without the pressure.
They're just extending the deadline on the demo. They're not going to do the demo at E3 because they don't have the time to do it. And they can't finish it in time. They can't do both.
Once that meeting happened, it was just like, right, of course. I'm not in the Twilight Zone. It makes sense not to do this. It felt really nice seeing the leadership kind of having the teams back and seeing the logic of the situation in front of them.
That's it.
Thanks.
Okay, so are you pissed off?
Am I pissed off? No. What am I? I guess in one sense it's relieved, because there was concern of whether we could hit the quality that we know we need to hit for both Lost Legacies and for what was going to be our E3 demo.
Yeah, just
and
take
on
your
the
time.
other hand, it's kind of disappointed, because I was excited to get this demo done and get it out there and get the reaction, but now it's going to have to happen at some other point.
What we've decided to do is deliver the demo at around the same time, but that's going to be purely internal, and the demo won't be 100% shippable. Gameplay and design and animation are going to be locked in June. Then we back off, we finish Lost Legacy, and then resources free up to finish the particle effects, the lighting, and the sound. And then we ship just the glossiest, best-looking demo you've ever seen. We burn that to a disc at the beginning of January, and then we don't touch it again, and nobody sees it until E3. It's going to be really interesting to see if we can really, really commit to being done, 5 months, 6 months in advance of E3, and not be tempted to say it could be a little better, let's go back.
But I guarantee they're going to do that, because you can't just let something sit there. The technology will change. Your the tech that you're using is going to get better. You know what I'm saying? In development. So after a few months, you might want to change something for sure. I'm sure they'll revisit it.
And we really just need to have the discipline not to do that.
But that then left us as okay, what's our next marketing beat? What are we going to show next from this game?
So now we have a new plan where we're going to release a cinematic around PSX time. I think we're going to do it at the Paris Game Show.
This seemed like a pretty intriguing scene to introduce Abby. That whole scene is going to be our next marketing beat. And then we're not going to say much about it, about how this fits into the game, where it fits into the game.
That concept art was great, by the way.
Abby evolved over time. And if you look at the concept art, the character.
That used to be what Abby's concept art was, huh?
Character looked very different than where we've ended
That
up.
is very different. Look. That doesn't look anything like what they ended up with. Huh.
I don't remember at what point we decided to go with someone like really kind of muscular and broad, but I remember once the idea came up, it felt very fresh.
It felt very fresh, he says. I'm torn on this subject. A lot of people are, of making Abby big.
Once
and
we sort of
swole.
nailed down the body of Abby, we
Because even though it's a fresh idea, ooh, it's cool, it's different, it's never been done before, that doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that it's a good decision. And I'm not saying that this was a bad decision, but I feel like it was an incorrect decision. And the reason why I say that is because these guys are surviving out here, and they're out here like all the people that are in these towns have very limited food, very, very, very limited food and resources to go by. And so in order for a woman to keep a physique like this, in order to be huge and have huge muscles like that, you have to fill your body with tons of food and protein and stuff. And then that means that all that food is going to waste for all these other people that need it as well. Like, you got to think of it logistically as a storyteller and how it's going to be in that environment. In that environment, there's not going to be, most likely, there's not going to be these big giant girls because it takes too much resources. It just doesn't make any sense.
played around with different ideas of how we wanted to accentuate her arms or not.
You can accentuate her arms. I think they could have made her a little buff, but when you make her like huge, like her arms look like, I mean, massive, like Arnold Schwarzenegger arms. And when they're that big, you have to fill them with tons of protein and food every single day. You know how many calories it takes for this girl to take? And think about it. Everyone in the camp and everything would be like, "What the hell? No, give me some food." They're starving, and they can do it. Just doesn't make sense. Even though it may look cool or it's different or it's unique, it just doesn't make sense.
Interesting in Abby feeling a lot like Joel.
Like Joel does Joel look huge and ripped? No, none of the guys do because it takes too much resources, money.
So when I got
or
cast,
food, I mean.
Neil was like joking around. He's like, "You should probably beef up in order to play her." And I'm like, "Ha ha ha, yeah, it's mocap, whatever." And he goes, "No, really, you should probably beef up to play her." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, you're right. I should totally start deadlifting as much as possible." So I did, and I was training like crazy. And then I got pregnant.
I don't think.
What are you gonna do?
We need to separate her from Ellie. It shouldn't feel like I'm playing a reskinned Ellie, that Abby should, in many ways, look, behave, fight differently.
Yes, I totally agree here. This was great. After a little bit, I really enjoyed playing as Abby.
So in
Because of
gameplay,
her,
we've discussed,
you know,
well, she needs to have
gruesomeness.
different upgrade trees. It means we have to make the investment of capturing a whole different moveset for Abby. We can't just remap Ellie's animation onto Abby.
Good.
Holy fuck.
Abby has a fear of height, and there's stuff we're doing with the camera to make you feel vertigo.
Whoa. I don't even remember noticing this.
And that helps build empathy. It makes this character real.
That's true. See, look how
You let
big
you
she
both
looks,
live.
though.
And you wasted it.
She's aesthetically a very intriguing and iconic and powerful character.
Yeah, but all that aside, like making her arms too big or whatever, all that aside, she is a powerful, intriguing character.
You saved my life. Can you take a look at her?
Once she's killed Joel, what is Abby's motivation? What is she trying to achieve? Her redemption is really taking care of Yara and Lev, these two kids that are from a warring faction.
Our fans, they want to know every last thing about what's going to be in this game.
Is this The Last of Us?
Neil has taken the way
boy, I
you know,
remember
he
when
kind of
this
creates an
trailer
arc,
first
or like this
dropped.
sense of drama, this kind of sense of mystery, or like dramatic tension, and crazily has brought it to marketing.
I view marketing as part of the game. It's very calculated what we put out there and how we want you to connect different marketing assets.
Good. It's very important.
When we first released the teaser trailer, too many people right off the bat said Joel is dead.
the blown out light really really fucked us in a way I don't think any of us saw coming.
We actually underestimated our audience a little bit. They're so sophisticated now, so you have to get more sophisticated, like how am I still gonna surprise players and viewers?
You start on characters you've never seen before in a world that could be The Last of Us, could be anything. That creates like a really, really cool sense of tension.
I remember when I saw this
There's
trailer,
no
I was
point
like,
that we're gonna
"Who's this
market that you
character?"
play as this other character.
What the
What
heck?
is this? Yo, that looks good though.
I was so excited about working on it, and I couldn't say anything. It was so rough.
That's funny she says that because as a game developer, it's so hard to bite your tongue when you're working on something amazing like this.
Oh, is she gonna cut a baby out of her belly?
And then Uncharted 4, you find a comic book that shows Ellie's mom pregnant. So people already had theories that Last of Us Part 2 was going to have Ellie's mom. Oh, if we just kind of black out the letters, she has the same number of
This is
letters
funny.
as Anna, Ellie's mom's name, we'll get people to think this is Ellie's mom.
Wow, he's
my
thinking
God.
that deep about
Girl's
it.
got a good.
It's pretty smart, Neil.
That hammer's
Gotta
from
give
the
it to ya.
Outbreak poster.
I like
So
your
we have
marketing.
that poster with the forearm of a character you've never seen before, with this like kind of wolf's head in the background. What does that mean? You know, kind of like prompting this mystery.
You want people to feel like they figured everything out and then have the story surprise them.
Yep.
Man, if this is The Last of Us 2, bro, I'm gonna go crazy. Oh my god. Last of Us 2?
Last of Us 2, look at him.
Yes!
It's funny.
Yes, I fucking knew it!
Everything
The
that we
hype
put
is
out
real,
there
though.
is shaping expectation. And then the final game, hopefully, if we do our job right, should subvert those expectations in an interesting way.
And I didn't know a lot of people
We knew we were
thought
pushing
about that.
boundaries with that cinematic. We are making a violent game. We're not going to shy away from how violent it is. It is part of what we're trying to say. And I thought it was a great discussion initially about what is the appropriate level of violence. When is something so violent that it just turns you off where you just don't want to experience it at all? I
Yeah,
like
that's a
that
good
they were
point.
wrestling with those things. I didn't like some of the insinuations about the trailer being misogynistic towards the female characters.
I don't think this story ever glorifies violence against women. There's no bias towards women
don't
or
think so
men.
either.
It just so happens that the two protagonists of this story are female, and therefore that's what you're going to see the most of.
There has to be fail states in video games, which means a character has to be capable of being hurt.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. And I agree
So does
with
that
her
mean
in
that there can be no
aspect.
female protagonists in video games? Because that feels super sexist to me. And frankly, like, women are the victims of violence, and don't we want to see women fucking fight back once in a while?
Oh.
That character, her hand getting hurt, it has consequences for hours of gameplay to come.
One article even like asked the question, were any women involved in the making of this? And it's like,
Yeah, a
yeah, the
bunch.
co-writer, the lead character designer, the lead character artist, all the actresses that worked on that scene.
I am
She's
so
like freaking out.
fucking. Here's what I hate about that article.
Tell us
I'm
what you
sorry.
hate.
Do a modicum of fucking research. Just a modicum. Just a modicum of research. Just like a little bit before you put something out there to suggest that no woman could have worked on this because of the level of violence, because there was violence against women, because it is a video game. Is so fucking sexist.
It's weird
I
that-
like watching graphic violence. Does that make me less female? Like, I like having a conversation about what power is. Does that make me less fucking female? I like working at a video game.
I don't think anyone's saying that that makes you less of a female. You're in a
I
sense.
like playing video
She's really
games.
upset
Does that make me
about
less
this
fucking
stuff.
female? Like, suck a dick.
Whoa.
Don't put that in. I can't. I can't. Neil's gonna say put it in, but don't. I also don't
Wow.
represent all
Yeah, I would've
women, but
left
I
that out.
represent, like, I can represent this and say, I fucking wrote this. I wrote this. Like, I literally wrote the sentence, and then Yara eviscerates his
She doesn't even remember the things she
eviscerates
wrote.
his esophagus from his throat. I wrote that
She's
sentence.
proud
That
of
is
it,
in
too.
the
Look at her.
script, and I fucking stand by it.
She's so proud of it. You know, I don't know. Yeah, she's on edge. I would have left out this whole interview from this video.
I'm afraid of being turned into a token rather than the truth, which is like, we're being thoughtful about the female narrative.
Don't worry about it so much. You guys are so concerned about what other people think. Just make your decision and go with it, and just be proud of what your decision is. You don't have to tell people to suck a dick and all this stuff of what she was saying. Jesus.
These characters are more than just their vaginas.
Yeah, we know that already, though, right? We already know that these characters are more than their vaginas. I don't know why they get so deep about this. And we want to look at the behind the scenes of this video game, not this type of the behind the scenes, me personally.
You want to have a serious debate about feminism and feminism in video games and female depiction of violence. And
no, we don't, though.
You need to not see it as a binary conversation. It is an incredibly nuanced conversation. You cannot make blanket statements, and you cannot make presumptions. Fucking do your homework. I'm right here. I'm tweeting.
The tone of the violence in the game has always been important to portray as realistically as possible.
Our job outside of just drawing up concepts is really pushing our reference pipeline to make sure that the character artists are getting the most realistic examples of whatever they're working
They're
on.
probably using photogrammetry.
We can't find certain things, so we make the reference ourselves.
Yeah.
Simulating brain on wall.
1, 2, 3.
How does that drip fall down?
What does canvas look like when it's soaked in blood?
Yeah, all this stuff is really important for research for video games.
Splashing blood on them, dripping blood on them.
That's a lot different, cutting it from the...
We put down some wet mud, pooled blood onto it to see how blood would react to a wet dirt surface.
So there's like little pieces of grass and like twigs and things that carry through. Like there's actually movement following the edge.
One of the animators got a piece of lamb and we stuck it in Yara's shirt sleeve and hit it with a hammer.
Here we go.
Sound doesn't sound like... Doesn't sound
She's
right,
gonna need
but
to hold this as straight.
I like the
if she
idea.
does this, it's gonna.
I like the effort.
You know, just the weight of it's gonna want to make it fold. So I'm trying to keep it as straight as possible.
This past week's shoot was specific for the infected eating people's jugulars,
Whoa,
and there was a
you got
concept that was
concept art.
done with like blood running down the mouth. But like, would that happen? Like, let's find out.
These guys going all out, eating this type of stuff. And oh,
I
man.
got on the ground and pretended to eat away at like a bloody soaked rag that we made.
He's getting into it too, boy. You got to do it though. You gotta act like this is really happening because this is reference, and you're not gonna try to do this again.
It produced some pretty
well, you can,
surprising
but you know what I'm
results
saying.
because like most of my face got covered in blood.
Look up a little, John, but yeah. Teeth? People here will go to that length of trying to make sure that things feel as real as possible. Yeah, we do a lot of crazy stuff here. It's really hard to see these characters that you spend so much time with and, for lack of a better word, kind of like, you know, birthing into existence, tortured and abused.
Yeah, it was kind of hard to see the death of Joel. Right in the beginning of the game. They couldn't have waited like halfway through.
We're shooting the Joel death scene, which is like the catalyst, the opening of the game.
The scene has all of Abby's crew. It's a complicated scene because it's the most actors we've ever had in a single shot.
Knowing what was going to happen and knowing how it was going to happen.
She doesn't want Joel to die too.
I got very fearful.
There's so much weight to this scene. This scene has to be right. It's really difficult to reshoot it if we need to. Within the first game, having to call Troy and Hannah back to reshoot Sarah's death was very, very, very difficult for me.
The last time I tried to do a big emotional scene.
Don't do this, please don't do this, don't do this, don't do this,
I think they had to shoot this scene like 40 different times, and they made him go through this emotional roller coaster.
No!
That didn't go too well, and we had to reshoot it. Don't do this to me, baby. Don't do this to me, baby. Come on.
He did great though. His performance was brilliant for sure.
How the
He
hell am I
really
going to play this?
let
Like,
it
how
out,
are we
dude.
going to do this? I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I have the chops. Am I going to put Laura through this? Because I know how hard it's going to be on her.
Audio, camera.
So yeah, there's a lot of people on set right there doing this whole performance. Everything has to go right. It's mainly about Joel.
Miller.
Who are you?
Guess.
Guess, she says.
Why don't you just get out whatever speech you rehearsed? Get this over with.
Wow. And that's what Joel would say too. He'd be that type of person to
You don't
act
get
like
to
that
rush
in
this.
this position.
At the end, I really loved what he brought to it.
I couldn't wait to get back into Ellie's shoes again because it's where, weirdly, I feel most comfortable in a lot of ways because it feels like a character that feels the most like me that I've ever played.
Yeah, it is. Like, I bet if she was like a lot younger and all that, they would have chose her as the actual performer for the movie, or you know, what I mean, the TV series.
Which is a little disturbing. I mean, minus like the murder and the killing.
So it sounds like a bit of step forward, like you're about to like lunge and shoot.
Sweet.
The biggest change that's
I
happened.
mean, just visually, she's also got the look a little bit as well.
Since
not as perfect as Ellie, you know, but I can see why they chose her as a performance capture artist. They did a really good job at choosing her as an actress.
Initial pitch is Ellie is there when Joel is killed. It used to be she came across the body, and then she had to rely on Tommy's testimony of what happened, and we shifted it, which made it much more dramatic and intense for her, and I think puts more of it on screen and again, allows you better to understand why she needs to pursue these people.
The hardest part for me was looking over at Ashley.
No! No!
Yeah, this is like pretty real
Knowing
for them
that-
as actresses
that
and actors.
Troy
you know, as
was gonna
performers.
not be a part of it as much was really hard. And knowing that Joel was not gonna be in Ellie's life anymore, it was hard.
That
So
is
much of
really
that day
hard.
kind of feels like a blur. Because there were so many feelings involved in it.
What I had to
Especially
do,
as a
I
player.
felt was very, very little. There's one reaction, and beyond that, we're on Ashley. There was no acting. There was pure, raw emotion. I'm staring in the face of that.
Joel!
This scene was like really powerful. I remember, dude.
Why are you doing this? Get the fuck off me!
See,
I'd
she's
lost
such
a
a
little
good
bit
actress,
of my
dude.
voice. I couldn't scream like as
She is
loud as I
so
wanted
good.
to, you know, to get that frustration and that sadness out.
She just gets in the moment, dude.
was behind crying and
This girl's a little emotional.
and knowing Abby was taking this away from
She
her.
just cries
was
out of
very
nowhere.
difficult.
I can tell. Look, see.
And so I was crying when we were
You're
filming
crying
that
right
scene.
now. I have a feeling this girl's a crier.
Yes, it was very emotional.
Yeah.
You want what I want, right?
It is though. Like some of these things are emotional. You get emotionally involved in these characters, and you have to give real emotion.
Joel! No!
We want him to die.
Her voice, wow.
In this really unforgiving sort of way. Like it needs to feel senseless for you to say, fuck these people. I'm gonna pursue them to the ends of the earth and make them pay.
Yeah, I think that's what really triggers it as a player. You're like, oh my god, dude, like, you're so mad at those people.
If the scene doesn't work with what we captured on the stage, almost nothing we do in post is gonna make it work. Joe will take a pass at the scene, and I'll give kind of high-level notes.
But he's doing it without animated cameras, without character models, without environment. And so it's a bit of a guessing game to see if this will work.
So I like the concept. I felt like there was a lot of repetition and it felt long.
Once like Joel's head gets smashed, I don't want a close-up look of him.
Okay. That's a good point because it's a little bit too much for the player, I think.
I wonder if we could do like the smash from the back of his head.
Yeah, I'd want
So
to
just like it'd be like a black shape, and you see like a silhouette change, and like blood starts pouring out, but I don't focus on it. Like I don't see the details.
Mm-hmm.
When the club comes down and it's just like she's screaming, I feel like we could just take all their audio out and like music could take over. And again, we're trying to build more rage than sadness. That's going to really set up our journey.
Neil is one of the best creative directors
I'll come
I've
back
seen in a
and
while.
there'll be another version of the scene. Okay, play.
Joel, fucking get up! Please stop! Please stop this.
Yeah, look at this.
Joel!
Yeah, I remember this, dude. I need to play this game again. I need to play this game again. So if you're watching this, come back to my channel. I'll be playing this game again.
Overall, it's
for
fucking
sure.
awesome. Like I got emotional just the part where before he gets killed, it feels so fucking tense.
Yeah, it does.
We've had a few people on the team that have been really passionate about making our games even more accessible for people with different kinds of disabilities and making sure as many people as possible can experience our game.
Accessibility is something that like really touches a lot of people. As we get older, pretty much all of us are going to have probably some sort of accessibility need.
It's important to welcome people with disabilities into all of our public spaces, into our shared culture, and that video games are a rich part of that.
I love this, that you don't have to have like a 2-button feature to keep her crouched down. This is awesome. I love that.
Brandon Cole, he said, I heard you announce this game. What do you think about the possibility of someone like myself being able to play it? And Brandon is blind. I hadn't really thought about that before. I don't even know if that's even possible, but I want to try because that sounds interesting. If you click on the L3 button, it turns the screen and the character towards your next objective.
Oh, wow.
So you're able to sort of instantly sort of flip.
Oh, that's
very
cool.
Much inspired by the talk you gave last time you were here.
I figured.
Hopefully
That's a beautiful thing.
This is so
we had this
cool.
feature that let you navigate along the golden path. And we also had this other feature, you could like put out this sonar pulse and you'd hear where all the items and enemies were located.
Interesting. Oh, that's so cool.
But Brandon was playing that and was like, this navigation feature is great, but I don't want to just follow the golden path. I want to navigate to other things. It kind of occurred to us like, oh, we can combine these two features. We can let you scan for items and then navigate to that item.
This gives you more room if you do it this way for different types of sounds for different types of items. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Different sound for ammo, different sound for parts, different sound for explosive, different sound for keys. Or you
That's a good idea. What the guy's saying is different sounds for each thing because it'll differentiate each item.
Craftable and collectible.
Yes, exactly. Right on. But since we want to hunt for secrets, just like anyone else, you're also going to want to know that, hey, there's something way over there.
Players with disabilities still want to have a challenge.
It's not about just making an easy mode.
So what happened there was an auto vault. So you pressed into a wall and it automatically vaulted.
I feel happy about this.
This is an example of actually the good part of the studio culture, which is self-empowered, that I think allowed us to do this crazy thing, this thing that, you know, I couldn't tell you if it makes business sense to some degree, but it was something we were passionate about and interested in. It was a way we saw we could make the game better. It was something we saw we could like push the frontiers of, and we went with it.
Wow.
Studio leadership was supportive of us, but this really was like a bottom-up kind of initiative.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that early success really helped to build momentum for the rest of the project.
Yeah, you know, this is they really went out of their way, it seems like, to make their game accessible to a multiple range of different people and different disabilities. And that goes to show you that, I mean, they really care about the people and the players, because they didn't have to do that. They could have easily just released this game like a lot of other normal developers and just put it out there and didn't give any of these features. It takes a lot of time and money to implement features like this. So I'm really impressed that they did that. It's really cool. Props to Naughty Dog.
Everybody from the cost, from the budget of these decisions helps them focus on their discipline. Don't worry about money, worry about making the best game possible. Trust that there are people at the top that are looking at the budget and considering that.
Nice. Good director for sure.
At a certain point in the project, we start offering dinners to the team.
That means they're crunching.
And
that
it's
sounds
kind of like an acknowledgement of like, okay, there's a lot of hard work to get it done.
It's more of an acknowledgement of you're staying here for the rest of the night, so you're going to be eating dinner. You're going to be here as well. I used to do, I mean, when I was working on GTA 5, we had dinners like this all the time.
And we know people are probably going to want to be staying late.
Now, you hear what he said. We know that people are probably going to want to be staying late. I feel like that's wrong. None of these people want to be staying late. Not a single person in this building, I don't feel like it wants to be staying late. They want to be home with their family and friends.
Now we are crunching.
No more crunch. It needs to be completely removed from video gaming completely. See, they're crunching and it's still a delay, you know. So there's no need to.
That this release date is not realistic with how big the game is.
The public will understand.
People are asking us, "Is this a real date?" Because it's not feeling like a real date anymore. So we felt like we had to react pretty soon.
Yeah, yeah.
And then at some point, it just felt like because people were starting to put in longer hours, it wouldn't have been fair to not figure this stuff out sooner than later.
Yeah. That guy's surrounded by monitors.
Never gonna finish this game.
If you work hard for longer, that could have a toll on you.
You can see the mental toll it's taking on all these people. You can see it in their faces.
Tell everybody, pace yourselves. It's like it's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Interesting. They shouldn't have to tell people to pace themselves, though.
We settled on a February release date.
You should do that naturally as an artist if things are balanced, you know?
Right now we are dancing a very intricate and dangerous dance. We have something like 6 months left to finish the game. And we are also showing a demo to the press.
Oh, I see.
The longest playable demo we've ever done. 2 separate levels of the game. A level towards the beginning of the game where you play with Dina on patrol outside of Jackson. And then the second part of the demo is in a level that's super duper challenging.
Ellie by herself, murder mode.
So what we're doing for the press in 9 weeks is really those 2 levels of the game. It's unlikely that we're going to need to touch them again until the game ships. That was really the only kind of demo that we could do at this point that would still help further our production goals as well as give us this like marketing boost that we need.
The more we talked about it, the more we convinced ourselves, okay, this would actually be a good time to just put out a trailer.
Building these 2 major demos
this
and a
is when they
trailer
released
next
the new
to
trailer?
the rest of the fucking game.
And it felt impossible early on. I mean, it's the thing that's always hard for us to polish. You review these things and we're looking at all these tiny details. It's like,
oh yeah.
Even that shot of Jackson is like, where should the trees be? How much fog should it be? How much sun should it be? How should the sun hit the clouds?
Are we
Yeah.
all these civilians, the kids? Do they have the proper gear? Are they wearing the right clothes? Is the
You know, he makes a good point, which is like some of this stuff can feel never ending. The company I'm currently working at, we want to make sure that everything is historically accurate and everything is perfect. And so we got to do the same thing. We have to do lots of research. We need to make sure their clothing is right, their weapons are right, their every single little thing is kind of detailed down to the T, down to the button, down to every little thing on the fabric, you know?
tractor leaving tracks on the ground? That kind of crazy detail can only come through all these departments coming together and rising this occasion to achieve that kind of level of quality.
Yep. It's all a team effort, these games. These video games are very, very, very collaborative.
We wanted to show the team the final trailer.
Before we show you the trailer, just to say thank you to everyone, where we jumped from doing a 3-hour demo to this trailer where we had almost nothing, and it's like pretty amazing what we can do when we all come together. In fact, it's so amazing you can forget, and I've been here for a long time and I can forget. So to remind you, and maybe reignite some of that panic,
That's awesome.
we're going to show you 2 trailers. One from exactly a month ago, and one from about an hour ago when we wrapped up the trailer. So enjoy.
These are always good moments for the dev team, you know, to finally see all their work paid off and coming together. And
Decided to join us. All right, you all know the drill.
look at the first previs of it is funny.
I think I'd let you do this on your own.
Wow. Joel looks so good in that game.
It only gets 1 clap.
Keep in mind, this is what the whole game's going to look like. We're going to make it this awesome.
The whole time watching this feels like we're there with these guys.
You can't
Look
stop
at that.
this.
Oh.
This was a good reminder. Look, when we
Such a
come
good
together,
trailer.
when we rise to the occasion, when we do this thing that people outside the studio talk about, like this Naughty Dog magic, this is what it looks like. So when
Yeah,
you look
it
at
is.
parts of the
Ooh,
game that
wow.
aren't there yet, know
Oh, I
that we
gotta
can
play
get there
this
in a
again.
pretty short period of time when we're so focused.
All this is doing is getting me hyped to play this game again. Oh, man. Great work.
What's the scariest part about that?
We got the trailer done. We'll talk to it. Just wanted to take this moment to run through the events of Outbreak Week, which is when the trailer is going to debut. We are going to be having the big
The Last
press
of
event
Us
in
Day.
Koreatown at this giant warehouse. We're actually having 80 journalists from all over the world come. We got made sure very comfortable chairs for 3 hours.
Outbreak Day is the day the outbreak happened in the United States in 2013.
In real life, we celebrate September 26th as Last of Us Day.
Every September 26th, we've done something for Last of Us fans.
When people play these 2 sections, which are very different, I hope and I feel that both of them are equally impressive.
Hey.
When you play that first demo, you're like, that was incredible.
Wow, look at the environment.
Oh my god.
This could have been the whole demo. This could have been the whole thing. It says enough about what the game is. And then you play
Game
the
is
other
all
half,
about-
and it's like way more mechanics heavy, way more combat heavy.
Keep going, boy.
This is the part where it reminds you of Last of Us 1 right here.
There.
In the highest level of how Naughty Dog is perceived as a company, it's that we're story first and mechanics second. A lot of it is, I think, proving to the press and proving to people that, yes, we can do both.
I
you know,
want
you
people
have
to
to
walk
prove
away
it.
and say, this is the best controlling, this is the best feeling third-person shooter.
It's on the level
Oh, it is,
of
for sure.
the best action stealth games you've ever played.
Oh. It's very true. You know, even though it sounds like they're tooting their own horn, you know, the whole time here and talking like, this is the best. It is. It really is. It's the best polished third person kind of game like this of all time. It really is.
One of the things that I've always found really exciting about The Last of Us is the kind of fidelity with which we represent human intelligence.
One of the ways that really helped make them feel more human and more alive was the way that they used their body language to communicate to each other.
Everybody spread out. We may have multiples.
We had a number of sessions where the animation team, design team, and programmers all got together and we acted out a number of scenarios. And what that does is it gives us really great reference and touch points that we can always look back to about the way that we naturally behave, the way we naturally respond to each other.
That's true. But also, how would these people respond to each other in a more trained environment of being trained with this stuff happening too? They got to think about that, I feel, right? Because these animators and the people that work there, they're not really in these environments and put into these scenarios. So they're going to act actually a little differently than they would if they were they had been there for several years actually doing this, if that makes sense, right? You're going to plan things differently. You're going to move around differently.
And those are the types of details that we want to weave back into the game.
Someone took out Zoe! Who the fuck's out there? Sweep the whole goddamn street.
Wow,
Our NPCs are named, so that you understand these people have relationships.
They want to get revenge on you. It's this little mini loop of the whole premise of the game.
Omar! Flanker!
Yeah, that's true.
I just killed their friend and they want to kill me now.
Oh.
There's a
Omar,
cost.
you
You
can hear
killed
him.
that person. His friend now feels a loss. You know, his dog is now alone.
Yep. I never noticed that the dog kind of like
Dogs are really difficult to start off with because they're
looks over.
quadrupeds. They just don't turn around. They kind of like wheel around a little bit.
Smell something, girl?
The main concern we had is how is it that we can actually get a dog to perform a dance card on?
Now, this is one thing I did not know, that they went and mocapped a dog.
On the motion capture
I did not know that.
set. And when we finally brought them
Look at
on
this.
set, it was just incredible what these dogs were capable of doing and what the trainers were able to accomplish in a short time.
Wow.
There you go.
I'm really impressed that they did motion capture of a dog.
They move extremely quickly.
Because they have to build like a really custom rig for all that for in the program.
So they're super hard to shoot.
Oh.
Fuck!
Oh, that's cool.
They
looking,
are very low to the ground. You have like these attacks that are designed to go up here, and now you have to kind of do them down there.
Yeah, the dogs are
Killing
really
a
difficult in
dog
this game.
has gotten people more like upset than anything else in the game, than hanging people, than eviscerating people.
Of course.
We're gonna break new ground in dog murder.
We're gonna break new ground.
We had like a new scripter start like 2 months ago. First question, she walks into the middle of the room. I have one question. Does the dog survive? And everyone's like, oh no, first day, first day, first day, first day.
Throw the dog does not. Oh man.
So we killed it, and then you have to love it knowing that it's already dead. So there's gonna probably be people that are upset about that.
Hey, Al.
It's okay, it's
You
just a
wanna go to
dog.
the trucks? Let's go to the trucks.
God,
With the
people are
notable
so
exception
sensitive.
of
Jesus.
Alice. We took great pains to ensure that every combat encounter that you fight against a dog, you do not have to kill any of them.
Really? No, that's not true. Yeah, you don't have to kill them, but they will kill you. You'll die unless you kill them. I'm pretty sure, like, once a dog gets you, if you don't kill it, it will kill you. It's not gonna like leave you alone or something. So even though you have the decision to not kill it, you have to kill it usually.
It's more palatable to kill people because they're all there because they choose to be there, but all of these dogs were trained to do this exact thing, and so you're killing an innocent creature.
The fuck's that? Fuck! Fuck!
It's okay, it's just a video game.
Got you.
That feeling of discomfort, it's exactly what we're trying to explore with The Last of Us.
Yeah, it is a feeling of discomfort though.
Ironically, making them more realistic makes people feel more okay about killing them. We had like kind of a goofy art prototype. We had like just a very rough dog. We found that goofy dog that had no fur People felt really bad about killing that dog. Like when you would shoot them, they would fall over dead and like give one last whine as their like dying breath and stuff. So we just really tried to like tone down the pitiability of all the dogs and stuff.
That's because they're scared of all this like backlash of all this. It's okay, dude. It's just a dog and it's just a video game. If you ask me, it's okay. I think companies are getting scared now of backlash. Because
The best sound in
everyone's
most
dog
games
lovers
are the
out
stuff
there.
you don't notice. The Foley in the game is extremely detailed.
Wow, look at this. I didn't know there were goats in the game. I
Things like
remember that.
Foley are very easy to get
Oh, yeah, I
wrong
think it-
and noticed for the wrong reason. Very difficult to get
Ellie's.
right. But when you get it right, no one's going to pat you on the back for it. Audio guys are kind of a different breed. We listen to everything all the time. It's kind of a curse.
Yeah, I bet. This is cool to see them capturing this type of stuff.
Our
though,
ability
outside.
to use pre-recorded assets from a
Whoa,
library that's
look
like
at
commercially available has been diminished almost entirely because we have very specific needs.
Do one more of those.
Oh, check out the clicker.
We're trying to take what we did in the first game and bring it to another
Wow.
level of detail.
That guy sounds crazy.
Yeah, it's like play with that a little bit. Like mixing that tonality in is cool. Yeah.
The enemies themselves, especially the infected, have had to go through a review process. In the first game, they're pretty coarse.
that's
They're basically like on or off. They're either walking around mumbling.
That's true.
Or they're freaking out trying to get you.
Yeah, that's true. There's like two modes. Either they can't hear you or they're fucking coming after your ass.
And so now we've developed sort of this like murmuration breath system that allows them to have a much more natural flow between being agitated and not.
It's more natural flow. Interesting. I don't know what he means by that. Sounds like there's still two states. Damn, they didn't hear you okay?
A big part of those recording sessions is working with the voice actors. It's much more
Yeah.
collaborative.
Yeah, that's cool. I kind of want to see what your more natural voice sounds like.
You're basically trying to coach people that they're not zombies.
Yeah, now imagine sprinting.
No,
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, take your time, man.
That's really great.
One of the folks that we worked with, the sounds he was able to generate from himself was unlike anything I've ever heard before.
This guy right here. Wow, look at this, dude. This is cool.
Gnarly sounding roars and breaths and wheezes and really interesting stuff that I've never heard come out of a person ever.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I wonder what he goes home and he's like, "Ow, my throat."
The sound is, we're inherently post-production on a lot of this stuff. We kind of just have to be jamming, and we have to be as prepared as possible, and that's what we try to do. A lot of stuff is yet to come for us.
I like how they're showing a little bit of everything. They're showing behind the scenes of writing, behind the scenes of animation, behind the scenes of design. They're doing behind the scenes of audio now. I didn't even notice it, but they're touching on a little bit of everything.
Which means there's not a lot of time left, which means that it's going to get really intense. It gets
little
really intense
something
for
for-
everybody, but for audio in particular, we'll be here late.
This video has a little bit of something for everybody who wants to kind of be in game development. I feel it's really cool.
I think that I don't know if it's the whole studio, but I know I'm definitely feeling
Wow,
very
they look tired
right now.
Jeez.
I'm feeling a little burned out.
You don't want to hear that either from your employees. Just the word burnt out. I've been burnt out, and I've said it. And if you're literally saying that you're burnt out, it's too late. that means you're way past burnt out because you're telling people that you're burnt out. A lot of people are burnt out and they even hold it in and they keep working. Yeah, I'm all right. But internally, they're kind of burnt out. When you literally tell people and you're in big, management, or you're somebody who's big on the team and you're like, hey man, I'm burnt out. That means you have really, really, really peaked and went past that limit of burning out. If you ask me, this is something I've been through personally and I know, so I can relate to these people big time on this.
I'm realizing that I can't crunch like I used to. I can't
Me either.
put everything
I can't
have
crunch like I
into,
used to.
These games as much as I was able to when I first got here.
It takes a mental toll on you. It takes a physical toll on you. You end up becoming depressed and stuff when you work too much. So if there's anyone that's watching out there, don't do it to yourself. It's just not worth it.
It's pretty unanimous that this game is really big. It's bigger than we'd like it to be.
Just take your time.
The Last
with
of
the
Us
game.
Part 1 is small compared to this game. My argument, make the game small again.
See, he wants to make the game small again because it's easier on him. He wants a break. You can see it in this guy's face. He needs a break.
I don't even call them small.
There were times when I was writing like 40 pages of in-game dialogue a night.
What? She just said that she was writing 40 pages of in-game dialogue per night. That's too much. You're putting too much on yourself.
Neil kept saying, stop, you have to give it to somebody else. We will hire somebody. We will make this work. And I was like, I think it'll just be, I was just bullishly like, I can handle it. I'm tough.
And I think she wants to handle it and be tough because of the environment she's in. She feels like she needs to be like that because everybody else is doing that. Everyone around her is trying to push through it and trying to do that. And that's not what you want. You want to clean up that type of environment. You don't want to be in that type of situation.
I would like somebody to teach me how to have work-life balance.
You can see it in their face.
There are some times where I wish I had somebody in production or a big brother that could be like, no, go home. This is...
See, he's asking, he's reaching out right now. Listen to this guy. He's saying that he wishes he had somebody to tell him that, hey man, you need to go home.
Great. This is already great. You don't need to do the next thing.
And that should be in place years ago. That should have been in place years ago. And I know they don't want to hear that from me or from, somebody making a video like this who's an actual developer. But that's just the truth of it all.
I feel like at any given point, you'll go into the kitchen and you'll find people, what I would say, saloning about the game, like going deep philosophy into what's working, what isn't. People criticizing this or that. This doesn't look good. I don't like this scene. This doesn't work for me. I hate this.
Like they're going to lunch and expressing doubt to each other and is this going to come together? Is this the one that screws Naughty Dog up? Let me just exude whatever confidence I have left. Let me try to bestow this person with it so they can feel inspired and go off and do their work. But then sometimes you're alone in the office and you're like, what if this doesn't come together? What if this is the one that sucks? What if this is...
I could see the worry over there for sure.
The one that sinks Naughty Dog. So then you have to kind of bury it, compartmentalize it. Who knows what damage it does to your body while you're doing that? Because ultimately, you can't let that fear dictate how you work.
No, you can't.
Keep the faith.
Yep. That's what they got to do is keep the faith, which is what they do over there. They know that what they're making is going to work out. They just keep pushing forward. COVID was the best thing that happened to the video game industry. Allowed all of us to go home. Allowed us all to work at home now, and it's totally different. I don't walk by this studio anymore. I don't skateboard by it like this guy is. I used to skateboard all the time right by this place because I worked at a place called Halon Entertainment, and it was right down the street from here. And I would go and get a food truck. There was a whole bunch of food trucks that all meet up here, and a bunch of the Naughty Dog people came over to the food trucks, and you could kind of see this building. It was right next to there.
The game was just about done, was content complete. We were fixing bugs when
there's these rumblings of this
a real pandemic
happening.
I remember when this COVID did hit and we're like, bro, really? For real pandemic?
Like a for real one?
At first it feels like, this is nothing we need to worry about.
That would feel weird.
And then all of a sudden you do have to worry about it.
Yeah,
and
I remember
are
this.
people going to want to play a game that takes place in a pandemic when there's a real pandemic?
Yeah, because it's kind of serious at that point.
We had never worked from home ever. Not.
You see this right here, this device that's sitting on the table? That's a PS4 dev kit, I think is what that is. That's what the dev kits look like. They look very similar to that, or that
It was
is
actually
one.
strictly against working from home.
We did not have the infrastructure set up at the studio to work from home.
And it's because we were so intense about security and leaks that all of our data, including our emails and our chats and IMs, it all had to be on a server inside the building.
Wow. It's kind of risky too, because it's all in one spot. Sort of, you know.
We were like air gapped from the outside world.
Look at all
the operations team, the IT team, our engineering team, they all had to coordinate in a very short period of time to get us working from home. We don't even know when the game can come out.
Sony was like, we don't know if we can physically ship this product with like the supply chain and stuff.
We had to come out and say the game can come out in this date, and we don't even know when it will come out. It's delayed indefinitely.
I remember that.
So a lot of our most hardcore fans are angry with us.
God, there's nothing you can do.
Around the same exact time, we started having these leaks. We're like, we didn't put out this video. Like, where is this coming from? It's a video from one of our reviews. So you can hear the notes, and people that can't attend the meeting can watch it after the fact.
I don't remember seeing this at all. I do not remember seeing any kind of leaks about The Last of Us 2 for some reason.
Store all these videos on our server. Did it come from the inside? Someone with a Naughty Dog?
My first thought was, this isn't like a developer leaking this, isn't it? This isn't someone on the team.
That's this person in the Netherlands downloaded terabytes of videos through a back door in the server.
Oh.
And then this is where we made a fatal error. Let's close this back door. And then this person put out everything. A video goes up on YouTube, and I don't remember what the first video was, but it was something relatively benign.
But they weren't like super important scenes. You know, they were like little clips, and it was like, okay, that's a little weird. What is that?
All out of order and stuff. And I was like,
dang,
oh,
that sucks.
Oh, that's bad.
And you kind of wanted to just say, stop, wait, don't watch it. Like,
please don't watch it.
You're gonna ruin things for yourself.
There's YouTubers I've watched for years, and they're making entire videos, and the title is like, fuck Naughty Dog. And
really, what video is he talking about of these guys who are making videos called Fuck Naughty Dog? I'd like to find that video.
Fuck The Last of Us Part 2.
There's just...
Because I don't think that they made videos like that. I'll have to look. So prove me if I'm wrong. Please link down below of these videos that this guy's talking about if you know which ones.
All this negativity and no positivity because no one has played the game. They just have these videos out of context and all these rumors mixed with them. Abby is playable.
They thought Abby was trans because she has...
Oh, this is what they're probably mad about.
Muscles.
Here's the ending if they kill Ellie.
And then it just turned into this whole political thing. Oh, Naughty Dog's they're doing this political shit.
And then I get this text from Evan. They just posted Joel's death.
Oh, no.
And my heart sinks. I can't even describe this feeling. It's just this like dread. It's almost like you just heard someone you care about died.
Yeah,
That's the closest I could come to.
That sucks.
I thought Troy would be looking at that and be like, you see?
Told you.
You see, you were wrong.
He said, do you think we did the right thing? And I said, I don't know, Neil. I haven't played the game yet. I was livid. I was real angry.
I'm bombarded with hundreds of negative comments, death threats, anti-Semitic comments.
Whoa, look at this. Wow, look at some of these comments. No way, this is real? This is crazy. I can't believe people say this to him and to the writers. This is terrible, you guys. Anyone who's out there writing this stuff, dude, you need to stop and get a hold of yourself, man. You need to, find Jesus or something. I don't know what you call it, but you need to go give your mom a hug, dude. Anyone who's, geez, man, this is terrible.
It's putting me in a deep depression.
There's...
Wow. Someone said, I hope they beat you to death like Joel. This is crazy.
Some stupid stuff that's like, you're a feminazi, you're whatever shit like that. But it's like some stuff was really like, disturbing.
The hatred. I think that was behind it. I was sad. Like, there were a lot of days where I would just cry.
Every time I went online, it was just, that's all I saw was death threats and threats
Really?
of violence. And
Death
the
threats
worst
to
of
her.
it, the really like hardcore death threats got passed along, and they, you know, made sure that
Really?
they weren't anyone that like lived close by.
People were threatening her with death? For what? Jesus, people
Yeah, they
are
were like
crazy.
threatening my son, you know, who was
Threatening her
born during all
son.
of
That's
it, and
no.
yeah, it was rough.
What'd they say about her
was rough.
son?
But you know, more than anything, it just kind of like taught me to kind of keep a distance, you know?
Yeah. Oh, geez, this girl seems broken, dude. It seems like this game has like broken a lot of these people emotionally, dude. Jesus. It's taken a toll on a lot of these people.
This thing that I spent 4.5 years on, it's kind of getting violated.
And then for 2 months before release, there's like nothing you can do. You can't release the game sooner because it's not done yet.
Well, no. And it's a bummer because they're trying to wait for the special time.
And that was the lowest point in my life. Towards the end, at home, by myself, feeling very alone. And I said, who am I doing this for? Like, why, it's too much. And I barely squeaked by.
He's doing it for him and for everyone and for his family and for the fans and for, you know.
And then we were able to finish it. And, you know, we sent it to reviewers, and reviews are through the roof.
Yeah, you just gotta be confident in what you're doing, man. Neil does, you're doing good stuff, man. If you're watching this video, just keep doing what you're doing.
And I called Troy.
Quit second guessing yourself and doing all that. And you, I've seen you make games for a long time now, Neil, and been a part of it with you, even though you didn't know. And to watch you go through all this stuff, and I just want you to know that, like, keep your head up. Don't let this stuff depress you, and don't let this stuff get to you.
And I said, like, dude, I'm sorry. I feel like I failed you. And he's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, yeah, I just know how some people talk. He's like, oh, dude, I don't care. I played the game, and I love it. And I got really emotional. It's like I realized how much I care about Troy caring about the game, and that was a huge sense of relief.
There's not a single aspect of the game, part 2, that I would change. And anytime someone comes up to me and says, you know, I didn't really like what they did to Joel, I was like, great, awesome. Tell me a better version of the story. And to this day, they still can't.
No one's trying to take that on. No one's trying to take on the burden of making an original Last of Us story that competes with how this they thought was supposed to be, right?
It was a traumatic experience for myself and many people on the team. And
wow, look at that.
The kind of hate we got because of those leaks will stay with me forever. And I can't even describe how angry I was of what the damage this person did to us.
Dude,
I want them punished in every sort of way. I wanted this to be this villain. And this person is like, you know, in their 20s or whatever. They live with their parents.
Wow.
And it's a fan.
It's a fan. Wow, dude. After all that, the person who leaked it turned out to be a fan.
And then when we delayed the game indefinitely, this is what they said. It's like, I wanted to force Naughty Dog's hand.
Oh.
I wanted to force them to release the game. So I thought if I just put out all the videos, eventually they'll put out the game, which again,
that's terrible.
It was never an option for us. And I remember sitting there, sitting in my anger.
Can't even be
and then
mad
go,
at the
like
guy,
slowing
almost.
down and just saying, okay, if anybody should take the lesson from Last of Us Part 2, it should probably be us. Just let it go.
Yep. Gets me emotional actually right now.
The pandemic kind of brought up that question of like health and mental health. Are we developers that are going to stay at the studio and have full careers? How do we make this sustainable?
I chuckle in retrospect, just how absurd the failure of trying to alleviate crunch was. If you have great processes and you're super organized, that doesn't fix crunch. What that does is...
Hold on, before I say something, I gotta hear him out.
It allows you to make a bigger game.
Not necessarily. You could, hold on, what did he, let him say that again.
Have full careers. How do we make this sustainable?
I chuckle in retrospect, just how absurd the failure of trying to alleviate crunch was. If you have great processes and you're super organized, that doesn't fix crunch. What that does is it allows...
It does fix crunch, okay? If you have good processes and you have good organization of this whole thing, it does fix crunch because it allows you to plan accordingly to make sure that somebody doesn't have to work overtime, which is crunch. So I disagree with him here in this situation.
Allows you to make a bigger game.
It does allow you to make a bigger game, but you shouldn't use the upside of the good productivity and the good planning to allow yourself to force more hours out to making a bigger game. No, you make the original size game that you planned on, and you stick to that as much as you can with production and whatnot. It doesn't mean because you've planned out really well, okay, now we can add more stuff. No. Once you do that, now you've added in way more things. Now people are crunching. Now you get overtime. That's how it happens usually.
We read the post-mortem feedback for The Last of Us 2, and it was really, really upsetting to see what coworkers had gone through.
It's upsetting to see what coworkers have gone through because they didn't realize that people were probably that depressed or that, that's the best word I could put it. They didn't realize that people were going through what they were going through during production until they put out this questionnaire or whatever.
So we were highly motivated to try to figure out how to fix it.
And they want to fix it because or else all these people are leaving.
Everything about our workflows were already being upended with remote work and everything. So it's like, okay, well, yeah, we got to do this now.
And
they were forced to do it, it sounds like, just by natural cadence of what happened with COVID and everything, and everybody getting completely burned out because of the project.
We knew that to make the real changes we did, it would take the entire studio working together.
Of course.
We now have the goal for Naughty Dog to eliminate crunch.
Good.
The only...
Hold on, did you hear him? We now have the goal to eliminate crunch. No. He should have said we no longer crunch.
Thing that fixes crunch. The only thing is just deciding that you're not going to crunch.
When we onboard people, we tell them, we have a reputation as a studio for crunching, and it's something we don't want.
Not that you don't want, that you're not going to do.
And it's something we're not going to do anymore.
Thank you.
First, we had to do what is crunch. Let's define it, because when you just look at hours, that turned out to be too simplistic.
It's a multitude of factors. It's not just like one thing. It's not just, because of this is what's causing crunch. It's literally like so many of these little things.
How do we make sure no one at Naughty Dog burns out?
Well, it's hard to ensure that doesn't happen. That's really hard. But you can, try to do best you can.
Every couple of months, we send out a 90-second questionnaire that goes, are you worried about your workload? Are you worried about having to work overtime? If you feel like I'm overburdened with work, you have to tell somebody.
It's good.
We used to, as a studio, when we were getting close to shipping a game, bring in dinners for the whole studio. We don't do crunch dinners anymore.
Good.
Being able to work from home.
Let the people eat dinner with their family and their friends and the people that they care about most, that they've worked all day. It's time for them to, sit down and relax with their family and eat.
It's hugely helpful for me, from my mental health, of my daughter's there, my wife is there.
Hybrid is really the sweet spot because I think the benefits have just been enormous.
In the past,
a hybrid work environment, I agree, is a good environment. I work completely from home, and some aspects of it, I understand why they should be in the office sometimes.
Our leads, our managers, were the people that were best at their craft, but not necessarily the best managers.
So we created the role of principal,
we really gave people the choice. Like, do you want to make stuff or do you want to lead and manage?
And Arnaldo is now a lead designer here.
Wow.
Now I'm responsible for a team, and I really enjoy that. And being able to share that knowledge and kind of work with someone, even if they're more experienced than me, and it's been great so far.
And look, he went from a QA department testing the game to now a lead designer and now he's running a team. It just goes to show you, I like QA testing is a great way to get in the industry.
We have a very large and robust production department now that we didn't have.
Holding us accountable when we make a decision, when it's just everyone going, yes, more, yes, better, yes, polish, 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 tallying that up and going, okay, well, this is the result. Now you're not in your ship date anymore.
Now you're delayed, yeah.
It feels so much like a different studio.
I hope that we can keep changing for the better and make sure that we're making the games that we want to make, that we're really passionate about, that we don't stop doing that.
We want self-driven, healthy designers.
Yes,
we want to have it all. We want to have it both. And can we do that? That'll be the question, I guess.
The HBO thing has been a wild ride.
Oh, the HBO show, yeah. Who would have thought they would have done this, huh?
I just wanted it to be like good. Like, dude, if it just comes out and it's a good show.
Yeah, because a lot of
like,
video game shows have gotten bad raps. I almost feel like watching that again now, too.
I'm sure it will be very different when I actually see Abby being portrayed. That will be so weird. I can't imagine what Ashley and Troy must be feeling.
Specifically because Ellie is a part of my heart. In some ways, it was really hard. I feel like Bella was the only person who could play her. Because I feel like she is Ellie. There's a part of me that's like weirdly protective of her.
I remember when Neil told me...
That's because she's protective over her role.
We found Joel. I was like, he wasn't missing. He goes, Pedro Pascal. And I went, oh, we're bulletproof.
It felt like
He
Craig and Neil together saw that this was a story about humanity, and they made it a story about humanity.
We got Frank. Yeah. Who knew that was waiting? Craig's screaming from the sidelines going, I did.
When Neil and Craig asked me to play Ellie's mother, Anna,
Oh, she's getting emotional.
it made me so happy. And I'm crying, so it doesn't seem like it, but it was symbolic in so many ways to me. Being able to sort of bring Ellie into the world, be the first one to fight for her.
Great idea, by the way.
It breaks my heart.
I loved this scene.
It felt like on the other side, we could get
Very
this story
powerful.
to people that will never play a video game.
Yeah.
My mom is watching the show, and like, she can enjoy this story, and she can be a part of it, and she's so excited I'm working on season 2 and getting to see that.
That's
I
awesome.
love this idea that someone could watch the show and then realize, wait, that's based on a video game? And come back and check out the game and then realize,
Yeah, I
oh,
think
there's
that's
like
really cool.
all these rich games, AAA, indie, and all sorts of stories that are really unique to this medium.
It's true, the show brings a lot of people to the medium.
I did some other interview where someone asked me about
Alright,
The Last of Us and would there be any
final
more
thoughts
stories
here.
or something. And I mentioned, like, you know, we have written a story that takes place after Last of Us 2 that stars Tommy. And I hope one day we get to make it. And the headlines across the industry were like, Naughty Dog has outlined Last of Us Part 3. And that's actually wrong. It was always a small story. It was never like a full title. At the time, we had higher priorities at Naughty Dog, was like to fix our pipeline, to fix work-life balance issues, just based on where we were. I didn't want to prioritize this story, so that story was shelved. And I still believe one day it will see the light of day. I don't know if it'll be a game or a show, TBD. First game had such a clean concept of like the unconditional love a parent feels for their child.
Yep.
The second one, once we landed on this idea of the pursuit of
Revenge.
justice at any cost, justice for the ones you love, it felt like, oh, there's a clean concept here, and there's a through line from the first game about love. If we never get to do it again, this is a fine ending point. And right, last bite of the apple, the story's done. The great thing about working at Naughty Dog is that we don't have to. It's always like, we would love another Last of Us, but if you guys feel like are passionate about something else, we'll support this other thing.
So what I read from that is that they're working on something else, maybe that's not The Last of Us, and they're really hoping that we kind of reciprocate this new game that they're making and it does well. If not, they'll go back to make another Last of Us.
Very privileged position to be in. I never take that for granted.
Yeah, because they can. What he makes a good point, which he's in a good privileged position to where he can just make another Last of Us game or another Uncharted game, and for the most part, they know it'll sell.
I've been just thinking about, okay, is there a concept there? And for now years, I haven't been able to find that concept. But recently, that's changed, and
okay,
I don't have a story, but I do have that concept. That
he doesn't have a story.
To me, is as exciting as 1, as exciting as 2, is its own thing, and yet has this through line for all 3. So it does feel like...
Sounds intriguing.
There's probably one more chapter to this story.
Nice. Mic drop. Awesome. Looking forward to the next one. Wow. What a behind-the-scenes breakdown that was. They really went into detail with that one. You know what? That was a really good kind of background documentary about the whole process of video game creation on their end. I'm really shocked. I'm really impressed to see, the documentary and how they put it all together and edited it. Shout out to Naughty Dog and the crew over there. I hope that, watching this whole documentary, I'm hoping that everyone is mentally kind of better over there at Naughty Dog and smiling and they're not kind of feeling the way they were during that production. So I hope you enjoyed this kind of breakdown. There's a whole bunch of different ones. If you are free, you have a little bit of time, which you probably don't after watching that video. But if you do, we have a whole bunch of videos here on this channel that you can take a look at. I even have animation breakdowns of games I've worked on, like God of War, Ragnarok, and all kinds of stuff. And if you want to join me live, I do some live streaming Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. So thank you so much for your time and support, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.